What is up? We are back with our Wonder Woman 1984 review. Um, this movie is full of some, performances of varying levels, is how I'll put it. Nick, you can put it in your own words. Starring Gal Gadot, um, Patty Jenkins directs the film. Max Lord is played by the one, the only Pedro Pascal, aka the Mandalorian. And then we also have Kristen Wiig playing Cheetah, along with Chris Pine coming back to reprise his role. Nick, give us your opening overall thoughts on the film?
I think it's a weird it's a weird state I'm in, like just because like there were some things I think the film did better than the first one. There were some things it felt it uh it didn't do as well. And then there's some things because like as we're filming this, I've like literally just finished it like what time is it? Like maybe like an hour ago at this point. Like so and there's some things I still haven't fully processed. So I'm in this like weird like there's good, there's bad, there's like, like neutral. So um I don't know. I think there's some like interesting concepts they had. I like some of the execution I still have to like process. Some things I thought was like really cool. Some things like I don't know. I don't know. I will say that I really enjoyed the third act more than the first one's third act. But I feel like that like goes in some ways goes without saying. Just like because I know like the third act wasn't the like that's the part everyone points to when they say like this is the part that where Wonder Woman 1 didn't do as well. But I enjoyed the third act quite a bit more than the first one. And,
Interesting.
I'll keep it there. I'll end it there.
Yeah. I'll say for me, this film does not live up to the expectations set by the first Wonder Woman movie. Um, I think it takes a big swing, and frankly, I think it misses.
Mm.
Um, it's one of those films where it's not like it's a bad film, but you see where it's going, and everything they do, the connectivity, you're like, oh, I see what they're going for, but it doesn't hit me emotionally. And I think that comes down to the main plot of the story more than anything that kind of took me out of the film.
Okay.
So let's actually start there. Let's use that as a starting point.
Mhm.
What did you think of the plot? This is a full spoiler review from now,
Yeah.
just so everyone knows. So, spoilers. What were your thoughts on the plot of Max Lord's wishing stone um, kind of being the basis of the story? And how did you think the mechanics of the wishing stone worked?
All right. On like I'll get into like logistics in a second. I think as like the concept and the idea I think was really interesting. And I think it was just a different like we've seen a super villain try to like, shoot like a giant beam of light into the sky like 10 billion times at this point. So to have like this like villain where like we've also seen like regular people villain like Kingpin on Daredevil, like he was still like a regular guy. So but the idea of having like this regular guy have this awesome power, but like be so completely like out of control within like not being in full like being able to like direct it properly. I think that was pretty interesting. And I just like there was still I felt there was a credible threat level to just see like Pedro Pascal like like not waving his hands like waving a wand or whatever, but like just doing his thing and like grabbing what he wants, but also leaving so much like carnage and wreckage like in the path of like not like proper like care and attention to it. So I think in concept on paper is a different type of villain that I was like that I bought. It was just overall a different threat from like Wonder Woman couldn't exactly like punch her way out of this one type thing. In terms of logistics, I'm trying to like recall like certain details. I think the whole uh like like at the end when he was like like in front of the camera and he got in front of everyone, I feel like rules there were certain rules that were like either unexplained or like breached in some way just because like I remember when he was asking like the like one of the people he was like one of the business partners he was talking to, he was like, is there any way I can get them all like be together, like hold hands and like say, and then like from what we saw, like it was just kind of like everyone was just like doing it on their own. I was kind of like, okay, like that's not exactly how you explained it, but maybe that's how the writers intended. I don't know. That was a bit of that was something that I noticed also like I didn't know Wonder Woman's lasso could do that at the end, like kind of like hijack his transmission, I guess. And like I think I feel like I've read enough Wonder Woman, but I was just like I didn't know she I didn't know she could do that. So yeah, that was just the other thing. I don't know. I feel like the logic concerning the Dreamstone up until the third act was like relatively sound. Like it was exaggerated, it was over the top, but like for me, like I bought it just because like that was one the vibe of the film and two the nature of the Maxwell Lord character, just be kind of like going big and not really caring like if everything behind him like blew up as long as he got what he wanted. So it was about that third act where I was starting to like, yeah, is the Dreamstone like are you sure is that how it works? Like, that type of thing.
Right. My problem is this film fell apart to me before we even got to the third act.
Hmm.
And that comes down to this whole Dreamstone thing. Because to me as a fan, like watching the film, I'm a casual fan of Wonder Woman, right? I haven't read comics or any of that stuff. I was like, a Dreamstone, like really? Like that's what you're gonna do?
Right.
And I'm like, of course the guy wishes for more wishes. That's what anyone would do.
Right.
Um,
Oh wait,
but
I just want to jump. That was another thing. Sorry, I didn't want to. I just want
yeah,
to.
go ahead.
That was another thing I noticed when he was like, "I want to be the Dreamstone." I was like, I think that's a paradoxical statement to make. Like that's like asking the genie. It's like, I mean, I guess Jafar did it in Aladdin when he was like, "I
Right.
want to be the genie as well." But I remember I watched that and he like became the stone. I was like, that seems like a paradoxical thing to happen with like
Mhm.
a wish to be granted. But sorry, you keep going. My bad.
No, it's all good. I agree. And I think the whole plot just felt it didn't feel personal. The
Mhm.
first Wonder Woman, for being a war film,
Yeah.
it felt so deeply personal of a film, where this one kind of does not.
Hmm.
And I think that pairs up with bringing Steve Trevor back.
Okay.
And while I understand the decision in the arc, um, it feels weird. One, he's in someone else's body, right?
Right.
And so there's the whole thing of like she hooks up with someone else, right?
Yeah.
Who's
She.
Steve Trevor's is like inhibiting, right? It's a little weird.
Yeah.
Um, but I get the emotional arc of her not being able to get over the loss of him,
Hmm.
and that arc being, she has to let go.
Right.
Um, but I feel like it just doesn't quite hit that well because I feel like that relationship is kind of sidelined in this film.
I will say like well one I feel like like the concept of like bringing Steve back in order to communicate like the ideas they wanted to communicate. I think that was solid, and I like like that could have been like its own film on its own. Just the idea of like Diana learning to like accept like you can't have everything. Like you have to be content with like what's there right in front of you. So like that in concept, I think is like a powerful idea, and I think that was like a very interesting route for them to take. I just think it's just like between the quartet of characters, there was like a lot going on. There was just a lot going on, but like that like divided the attention, I think, of the storyline that didn't allow the writers to like give equal attention to
Yeah,
everyone. I think.
yeah. Let's talk about that more because
Okay.
here's the interesting thing to me: there are two villains in this film.
Right.
Um, One, I really liked Cheetah as a character. I
Mhm.
love her introduction. I love how her fall to darkness and how Kristen Wiig portrays that.
Mhm.
Now, the third act fight scene's a little eh. I mean, the CG was better than in the trailer, but I still don't think it was all that great.
Mhm.
But I felt like this film was at its best when it was Christian Wiig and Gal Gadot, kind of like developing this friendship. And I felt like that kind of got sidelined for this Wish
Right.
storyline. I felt like it needed to choose one or the other. I feel like these two villains, a lot of times in films, really don't end up working as well as they're supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah, and like it's not like they're like it's not like having like a quartet of like focus characters isn't like out of the ordinary. Like I remember like the Dark Knight had like 10 main characters. Two of them were like ended up being main villains, but like you never felt like one was overshadowing the other, and like Harvey Dent's arc into Two Face was like just handled so wonderfully well. And so like it's not like out of the, it wasn't like the most outrageous thing for them to attempt this. Like I don't know. I just like for me, I think it would have been better if they had if Diana and Barbara were friends before the events of the story started. Like if they could just cut through them like learning to like learning to be friends or whatever. Like if they were friends from the beginning, that would have I feel like made the whole like tragic fall of her a little more like emotionally tangible. And I also like they really could have like used like Cheetah as like she's like filling that hole where Steve is for Diana, but it's not the same. And eventually she's like, I have to lose both of them, but like I'm more content regardless. Like that, I feel like that in part was what they were trying to communicate. But there's just a lot of like, we have to set up this relationship and we have to set up this villain, we have to set up this, we have to set now, Chris Pine is back type thing. And there's just a lot like happening.
Right. And I think one of the things for me was that I actually liked the introduction of Kristen Wiig and how like she's this awkward
Yeah,
person.
for sure.
Um, I would have liked that she had been the person that Gal was like first trying to get back to regular life after Steve. And it's like her trying to move on from Steve. I don't think you like as much as I like the arc of Steve in the story, I don't think it was necessary to convey the emotion of like her as a character.
Mhm.
I think it very well could have been conveyed for her trying to get back into like, finally getting a connection with another person and being, eventually heartbroken as Kristen Wiig's character becomes
Right,
Cheetah.
right,
And I felt like the intimacy of that story and a two character relationship would have made it a lot more interesting.
right.
Let's talk about the runtime. This movie is 2 hours and 30 something minutes. Um,
Yes. I would something like that. Yeah, keep going. I'm just gonna check that.
yeah. One, did you feel like this was too long? And two, where did you feel it was like this movie was long if you felt it was?
Just checking the runtime. Yeah, first year runtime is spot on. I just want to check another film's screen time for reference. Okay, so to use The Dark Knight again, The Dark Knight is only 1 minute longer than Wonder Woman 84, but I feel like I think a lot of 84's runtime is dedicated to that first act, to establishing like um, here's where she works, here's where she's been since the first film, since World War I. Here's Barbara, here's like the classic like here's what the hero wants, here's the ordinary world, here's like why, here's like the refusal in some cases, here's our villain, here's our resuming of the first film's romance. And then like I feel like at a certain, I'm trying to even remember when like the second act break happens, and it's like um I don't know, is it like when they go to Cairo or something, and the Cairo occurs like halfway through? That's what it felt like to me. While like again, like the Dark Knight, like you got hit with that bank robbery sequence, and then like Batman's like on the case already. Like that was handled within like the first 10 minutes. And I don't want to like be like comparing films. I think it's just because like I'm drawn to the whole idea of like having two villains and like what one film did in comparison to this one. I feel for me it was the first act. There was a lot of setup in the first act. I didn't mind a lot of it. Like I was in fact I was like very entertained by most of it. I liked Kristen Wiig. I liked Pedro. I liked everyone, and I thought it was like just like I thought I loved the aesthetic. I loved the music. So I didn't mind being stuck in the first act like longer than maybe it should have been. But like also like that was just something I noticed.
Yeah, I think for me, the first act is way too long.
Mhm.
It needed to be cut by like 10 minutes. Um, it just felt like there's a point where you can do setup without making it feel like setup. And I felt like, oh, they're setting up the story right now, right? Like it was very clear. And I watched the movie with my family, who are
Yeah.
more casual viewers, and the first thing they were like, this is like taking too long.
Mhm.
And I think that was a common thing that people who have seen this film have seen. The first act is a little bit too long to kind of get the story really pushed forward in a meaningful
Right.
way. And I think
Right.
pacing is so important to films because it's what keeps you interested, and pacing can make up for so many other mistakes.
Right.
Because it keeps you constantly feeling like what's coming next, what's coming next.
Right.
Um, but let's talk about what we liked with this film because I feel like we haven't touched upon that, and I don't want to come across as like we're just trashing this
For
film because
sure. For
we're
sure.
not.
Mhm.
So what about this film did you really enjoy?
I really dig the score from Hans Zimmer. Like I was like, I love like it's like a weird like techno synth, but like you still hear like the like classic like Zimmer themes like pop up every now and then. And I really love that he used the Batman v Superman theme during the climax. Like I thought that was like I don't know, like it was just like a nice reminder. It's like, oh yeah, takes place in the same universe as like a bunch of other films. So I'm really happy he used that. I'm really happy he used that theme, and I just loved his like 80s score, but it was like not like it was cliche 80s score. Like it was just it was Hans Zimmer's take on it. So I really enjoyed that. Um, I think Pedro Pascal was great as Maxwell Lord. I think that was a generally just like fun over the top performance. My favorite, like I don't know, like just seeing him like deteriorate, like he was, I don't know, I think he hit that like nice mix of like sympathetic, pathetic, and like wildly like out of control. Um, I remember like what was the scene when like he's like when his company is like become successful all of a sudden and like his secretary's answering the phones and he's like, do you need more help? And the one guy like randomly appears and he's like, you're hired. And like just like there's such like a weird like he's a salesman. Like that's the thing. He's just like a salesman. He's appearing on all the TV ads. And I think he was very like I think he was very like charming and wild and like over the top, like in a good way. And I really enjoyed his performance was the one I enjoyed the most out of the film. But I'm not but like I enjoyed everyone else as well. Like Chris Pine's always charming, period. So he didn't disappoint as Steve. And I enjoyed Kristen Wiig. I think she and Gal Gadot had like some like nice chemistry, especially in the scenes you were saying in the beginning, like just them like bonding or in like whatever. Like I think that was like the core quartet was not like um I enjoyed the core quartet. I'll hand it off to you. There's a few things I want to say about, so I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, I think the score 100% was awesome.
Mhm.
They were restraint in the use of the Wonder Woman theme song, and I think the placement of that, only using it a few times, made it much more impactful and really helped boost those moments.
Right.
Um, I really like Christian Wiig. I really want to see her back as Cheetah again.
100%.
We never see her renounce her wish, so still could be Cheetah.
Mhm.
I'd be really interested in that. We didn't even talk about the renouncing their wish thing, but I'll go over that because we're talking about
Yeah.
the good stuff right now.
Right. Right.
Action I thought was pretty solid. The whole scene in Cairo, I loved it. The Indiana Jones vibes were awesome.
Mhm.
Knocking Wonder Woman's powers down a level to make it harder on her, I think was really interesting and a really smart move.
And the fact like she like I know like the Wolverine they did something similar, but he was like I guess spoilers for the Wolverine. He was like poisoned, but here like in a way she was depowered of her own accord. So I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, like the whole sequence where she was like sliding on like the metal door or whatever, and then she was like underneath the car. I was like, that's so awesome. That's so cool. This is the classic action vibes.
Right. And I'm like, I see exactly what you're referencing here, Patty
Right.
Jenkins. You are
Yeah.
not pushing that one past me.
Mhm.
Um, so I really love that whole sequence. Kristen Wiig's character, I love the arc of her character. I love how she gets sucked into this. She finally feels noticed. And when she sees that Wonder Woman's trying to stop Pedro from doing this, she's like, no, you're not letting me go back to what I was before.
Right.
Um, and I think that whole arc's really, really interesting. Um, let's see, what else did I really like about this film? I think Pedro, while I don't like the character he's playing, I think Pedro's performance as the character is really good.
Mhm.
And it's the same thing with the arc that I felt like there was a different way to do it with Steve Trevor.
Right.
But I still feel like Chris Pine did a great job in that role. He brought a lot of energy. I think his chemistry with Gal Gadot is so good that may be why they wanted to bring the two back together, because I think that's when Gal Gadot is at her best.
Right. I like hands down the funniest scene in the film was when like he's getting ready to fly and she's like oh yeah, by the way, they're gonna track us. And he's like, well, shit, Diana, and he's like exasperated. Like the moments like that, I like that's just Chris Pine doing his thing, and that I really enjoyed that as well.
Right. And I think the way I really like the intention behind the way that he like tells her to fly, right?
Yeah,
I think there's a little adjustment that would have made that scene a flashback that could have made that scene better.
right.
To the mascara that I think actually would have played in the whole mascara. Like it would have made the flashback seem like it meant more.
Yeah,
Because I love that opening scene. But I also feel like there's a question as to why it's in the film.
fair enough. Yeah,
But I love that scene. That scene is so much fun, and it
yeah,
speaks
yeah,
to her
100%.
character growing up. Is there anything else you want to talk about as far as what we love before we start to wrap up?
Yeah. First, I think it was really crazy that they brought back the OG Wonder Woman, Linda Carter, in the post credit scene. I thought that was a part of me wanted her to be like her version of Wonder Woman, just because like DC multiverse or whatever. But I think the idea of like her being like in a way like one of like Diana's precursors, I think that's so much fun. I know Patty Jenkins has spoken on like maybe doing like an Amazon spin-off, and originally I wasn't on board with the idea, but if it's about Linda Carter, then I'm totally on board just to see her like back again in this environment. I think that'd be cool. And just the idea of like, and even if it's not the Amazon spin-off, to see her, because I know they confirmed a sequel for a third film, to see the idea of having Linda Carter play off Gal Gadot, just the two Wonder Womans across time, is going to be so. It's going to be really iconic. I love the potential of that. Anything else? I don't. I like the opening like vibe and look of the film. Like just the clothing was just like really real like it was like the goofy 80s, but like it just felt natural. It felt very stylish. Um, I'm trying to remember anything else.
I agree with
I
that. It
think
made me
yeah,
feel like I wanted to be in 1984,
yeah,
and
for
that
sure.
at no point um, was I like, eh. I mean, is this really 1984? I was completely transported to that era
Right.
in this film.
Right. Oh, last thing though, I love the costume. Like I know I just talked about the suits, but like, and specifically to like Wonder Woman, like I love the Golden Eagle suit. I love her
Yes.
costume is the same, but it looks, I don't know, brighter this time around. And I was like just her swinging around the lasso. I was just like, your costume looks so like this is the best. It's like not that it looked bad before. Like I always loved this Gal Gadot's look, but I'm like, your costume looks so like it looks like is the peak Wonder Woman version you're at right now. And the Golden Eagle suit was so cool. Just the shot behind me, I love. Yeah, so like Wonder Woman looked great as she always does. If I remember anything, I'll come back to it. But like that's about the gist. I just the vibe, the aesthetic, the performances, and like you touched on too, the action was just like really helped make this film a lot of fun.
Right. I like the mall scene too, where they're in the mall,
Right.
and these villains could be like, "Yeah, throw the baby," right? But the guy, one guy's doing it, and the other three robbers are like, "What are you doing? Like, what the
Yeah.
f are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
put the baby down." He's like, "I'm not going back,"
Mhm.
and I'm like, I love that moment because they very well could have just ran away.
Right.
And while it's like a small little thing, I really like it, and I like that introduction of Wonder Woman in action. Though it's weird that she's been in hiding, like not showing her powers, and
Yeah.
then she's like 8 sightings in the past year.
Mhm.
Um, but the moment works for me because you know it feels like so much fun. Her just like mowing down these four people like it's nothing.
Yeah, 100%. It's I think that like if they like if they had chose to excise the mascara scene, like that would have still functioned as like a great like reintroduction to the character. Like her in hiding helps maintain the kind of maintain the timeline from Batman v Superman, and also like it's just cool to see her like poking in and out of like just places doing her thing. So yeah, that was the mall sequence was really cool. Um trying to was there something else? No, that was it.
Yeah. Let's see. Is there anything else you want to cover before we talk about what's next for Wonder Woman?
I'm like going through like the the synopsis right now. I will say I think yeah, again to like emphasize the third act was better than the first film. I just kind of wish they started putting like first acts like not first acts, third acts like in the sun. Like I'm trying to think like Like most of like even like Endgame's like third act, as crazy as that was, there was underneath like a layer of soot and fire. So like you couldn't like and like Thanos' army was all gray, so it's not like you could make out anything. I don't know. I think they did that to like help with to hide Cheetah's CGI, but I also feel like I don't know, you're on an island environment with a giant satellite. It would have looked maybe it may have helped with a certain if it would have achieved a certain vibe if it was in the sunlight. That's like a nitpick, but that was just something I had while watching.
I get that. I get that. I think the one thing with these two films is they need to improve their third acts. Um, but this, I have more. The plot just didn't work for me, to be
Fair
perfectly
enough.
honest.
Fair enough.
And I still like Patty Jenkins as a filmmaker. I'm still excited for Rogue Squadron.
Right.
But this film didn't quite work. Let's talk about Wonder Woman 3, which was just announced, which means it's been in the work for months, if not a
Right.
year. Do you hope this? Where do you hope this film is set? And when do you think this could possibly come out with the Rogue Squadron news, the
Right.
Cleopatra news?
Right. I think well, one, I think Jenkins and Godot confirmed it was going to be present day, which I think makes sense. Like, there's only so much you can do out of making like essentially prequels to the rest of your franchise. So, I think present day makes sense. Um, like I said earlier, I would love for Linda Carter as Asteria to like do some sort of team up with her. I'm also intrigued to see if um like like the release of like the Snyder Cut has any impact on like charting, because like technically like the Snyder Cut is the second present day chapter of Diana. So I'm intrigued to see if like I don't know, that movie tells a different ending to how where Diana ends up compared to the theatrical cut, and if so, like if Jenkins will build off of that. Um, I would love to see Cheetah back. I would. There's too much potential there to like not like take advantage of. Just like I mean, you set a foundation, like build on that, and like like you said, we didn't see her renounce her wish, so like there's that little like loophole they could use. So I would love to see like a present day thing, maybe a cameo from someone. I'm not sure, but like just like present day, like fully like Wonder Woman in the public eye, like in like just in face of like the fact that like oh yeah, like in a world where Superman and Batman exist type thing. So that's what I would love for Wonder Woman 3. And as for when it comes out, um I feel like I don't know, because like 84 is like 84 made 85 million at the box office. Like I'm there probably won't it probably will it break even? I have no idea, but like I feel like Warner Brothers are gonna try and fast track it just because like it's a very valuable property. I could see that coming before Cleopatra, even though Cleopatra was announced like months before. Although I could see Jenkins like resisting, because I know she's had some like concerns about the whole Max Theater release plan that they had going on. So but I do think they'll try and fast track number three.
They have said they are. This
Mm.
is like just in that they are
Yeah,
fast tracking 3.
yeah, then it's probably going to come before Cleopatra and after
Uh,
Rogue Squadron.
yeah, it could be. I think it even could come before. Um, 2021 is just around the corner.
Right,
They may
right.
have a script written or a draft of a script written.
Mhm.
They may be able to go into production in 2021, middle or end of 2021.
Right,
And you never know. Some directors are capable of working really quickly,
for sure.
um, because it's coming out December of 2023, the Star Wars project, right?
Yeah,
So you need like 6 months to a year, probably a year if it's a space film, more like fighter pilot, for post. So she needs to be done by like filming by the end of 2022, basically.
right, right. So
So
I
there's a
guess
window.
she has a lot, and I know that she said like she's been deep in like pre-production for Rogue Squadron for a while now. Like it wasn't
Right.
like no one reported, but like she's been like deep in production on that. So like if they like yeah, let's say they use 21 to like map out and like start filming Rogue Squadron, then she has all of 22 and basically all of 23 to also have 84 not 84 or Wonder Woman 3 come out too for like 24 release date, or like you said before that too, because she has that time.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm excited. I hope it's in the modern day. I
Yeah.
hope the other Wonder Woman, I can't remember what her character name
Hysteria.
is,
Hysteria.
Asteria doesn't show up.
Okay.
I just want it to be focused on Gal.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, I'll accept whatever the film is, and I'll be
Mhm.
excited for it when it comes out, like I was for this one.
Right.
I hope it focuses on her alone, and I really would love a film that explores what is it like for someone who lives, thousands of years. Um, and I would love her, like, what does her moving on look like, right? Because
Right.
we've seen that she makes a decision in 84 to move on.
Right.
So what does that look like in the modern day for her moving on? Other than that, Cheetah would be great to be back. I mean, they have a loophole for like the aging thing since 84. She didn't renounce
Right.
her wish. But who knows? If they have a new villain, I'd be down.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think that wraps it up for reviews. Or anything else you want to say before we head out?
Um, just that I feel like maybe as a whole it didn't fully come together, but I feel like in the certain parts, like I really enjoyed this film. I think it like really like had a lot of fun and personality to it, and I think it like I think like the direction and concept they had was really fascinating, and like I feel in some ways it was like George Lucas's Star Wars prequels. On paper and in concept, like the execution may have been shaky, but on paper and in concept, I think they were very like fascinating. I think they were like an excellent like continuation of what he and Patty Jenkins did before. So I think in the certain parts, I really did enjoy this film. Do you want to like give do you want to give our like
Yeah, yeah,
spaces on our our list
yeah. I know for me right now it's at 23. I think of all the films I've seen this year.
out of how many? Third? Would you say
36,
36?
36 films
Okay.
so far.
Let me
It's
see.
at 23.
All right, let me pull up my rank.
But
Um,
it could go for me as high as, I think, 17. I just saw the film a day
right.
ago, so
Yeah.
things can
I
change.
think I'm like trying to count because I haven't numbered these. I think right now it's gonna come between like the quartet that it's either gonna be intermixed in or beat out by his Bad Boys for Life, The Way Back, Tenet, and Enola Holmes. Somewhere amidst that four, I feel it's gonna land ish.
Mhm.
But then again, those aren't my top 10 either. So like we'll see how it shakes out before I have to rewatch Way Back. I'm gonna try and rewatch Tenet. So we'll see how that all shakes up in the end. But I feel like right in the I guess that'd be like 10, 11 to 15, maybe 16 range. Somewhere falls around there, maybe a little lower.
Yeah. Well, we'll have a end of the year rankings for 2020 films coming out soon, so you guys will definitely see what that'll look like. With that, that wraps up this review. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know what you thought of the film down in the comment section below. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. And we'll see you next time.
Peace out.